Well, they're making a statement. A long list of Israeli companies and institutions, from high-tech companies to insurance providers, local municipalities, and even banks, are saying that they're going to boycott working with anybody that discriminates against parts of their clientele. Why? Well, they're taking a stance against an amendment to Israel's law on discrimination that Prime Minister-designate Netanyahu has just signed as part of a coalition agreement with the far-right religious Zionism party. The amendment is now going to allow businesses and business owners to refuse to give their services to customers who they deem are violating their own religious beliefs. The question is, how is this going to impact business, tourism, and of course, the future of Israeli society? Well, joining us now is religious Zionism Knesset member Simcha Rothman. I want to ask you, this amendment to this anti-discrimination law is essentially a move to legalize discrimination based on race, religion, sexual orientation, and gender. The state of Israel itself was founded based on equal rights for everybody who lives in it. It was founded in the aftermath of the Holocaust, where, of course, the first steps before the actual genocide of the Jews was the refusing of services and business to Jews. So doesn't this go against the very ethos of the Jewish people?
If anything from the descriptions that you gave was true, I would maybe join the riots against this amendment. But the problem is that the Israeli media, and I'm sure most of our viewers won't be surprised, created for some reason fake news. There is no law, and there will be no law that allows for discrimination based on race, gender, sexual orientation, whatever. This amendment trying to do a very simple thing, to enact the Israeli version of the masterpiece cakes versus Colorado, a ruling by the Supreme Court in the U.S.
Well, I want an example here on the ground in Israel.
Supreme Court.
How would that work?
But that's some cases like again. This is exactly enacting what the Supreme Court of the U.S. just ruled recently. It's nothing about discrimination. It's a fake news. Again, if someone will be forced to give a personal service that hurting his freedom of religion, he won't have to do it because of this amendment.
I want to talk about what this in practice actually means.
But it's the same. I'm saying that's exactly. It means that's a case. You ask a case. You ask an example. That's the example. That's a very good example that was litigated in the U.S. and allowed by the Supreme Court. Now, the fact that this a very sensible and reasonable decision by the Supreme Court of the U.S. is being lied about, and we have a media campaign saying this ruling or this enacting of this ruling will make Israel a state where there is a discrimination against LGBTQ community. This is a lie.
Right, but we haven't actually talked about what that looks like on the ground in Israel. So the idea here is that if somebody goes to a business, okay,
you want the wording of the law?
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, if someone will be forced to participate in an activity against its religion, it will be a valid argument when he was sued on the false claims of discrimination.
I want to just ask you. Let me just ask you this question, okay?
I'm saying I will not allow you to try to make this about the LGBTQ community because it has nothing to do with the LGBTQ
what does it have to do with? It has to do with.
It has nothing. It's having to do with freedom of religion and the right of a person not to be coerced to participate in an activity against its religion. The fact.
But the idea is that businesses would be allowed to say, "I don't want to give services to somebody whose lifestyle violates."
No, the example. You want example. You want example from the state. You want example from the state of Israel, an Islamic printing house. A printing house that was owned by a Muslim was asked to print an invitation for people going on the Temple Mount, Jews going on the Temple Mount. He refused, and he was fined because there was a claim that this is discrimination against Jews based on religious views. I don't see it as a discrimination. I see the people who went to this guy and asked him to do it as trying to coerce a Muslim to do something against its religion, and I think they need the court protection and the law protection. That's an example. Examples that happened in Israel.
I want to talk about, why this is such an important amendment to your party. There's, really been no public movement per se to fight for a change in terms of how businesses receive customers today. When you look at the numbers, it's hard to even know how many people would actually be in the situation of needing to refuse clientele based on an issue of religion or race. I mean, what part of Israel are you trying to appease?
We are not. The fact that you phrased the question the way you did makes me go back to what I said before. No one is allowed to refuse clientele based on its the LGBTQ community or Muslims or Jews or based on race, ethnicity. That's not what the law is about. It's not about refusing clientele.
No, it's about saying I have the right to I have my religious beliefs and I have the right to choose who I want to serve based on that, correct?
No.
But that's what you just outlined.
No. Let me please clarify, because apparently the person, again, from the case in the U.S., Masterpiece Cakes versus Colorado, if he would say, I'm not giving services to gay people, we won't have any defense. That's not about, I'm not giving services to gay people. It's not about boycotting the LGBTQ community or any other community. He won't have the defense. He got the defense because he was asked to provide a personal service to act and create a tailor-made service against his own belief, not a discrimination based on the people who are asking it.
I just want to clarify is to say that somebody wouldn't have to do a service that would violate their personal religious beliefs, correct?
Without any connection to the identity of the person asking for this service.
Well, I'd like to thank you for joining us and kind of clarifying what the goal is of your party in this amendment. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out. If we see any cases come to public attention as a result of this amendment.